Now, something I thought was helpful to think through here is, again, this confusing, it's the left are throwing this, or the right are throwing that. Like, in some ways, it's very, very confusing. And I think it's done on purpose. But just to be very clear, so the political spectrum, in my mind, is thrown at you as this linear thing, right? It's a line. Think of it like a ruler. Like centimeter number 1 is the left, right? And generally, the left would advocate for social equality, for government intervention, and progressive change. Whilst the right would be talking about tradition, limited government, and individual liberty. But then you throw into the idea of like socialism and communism and fascism and Nazism. And you're like, okay, well, these are different types of political ideology. Zionism, something that's becoming, I think, more and more important to discuss. And really what happens is that ruler goes full circle and joins on the far side, and it's a circle. And the more extreme you get, the more similar they become to each other. Yes, they're different in important ways, but what's going on here is it's somehow everyone's been drawn further and further away from the center. And that's not great, because the division of a population is an excellent thing to try and leverage if you want control, like divide and conquer, old school tactic, right? Now, an example of this would be is something I've learned recently reading a book called The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. It's like, what actually happened in Germany? Like, how did that situation arise? What is true? And this is just one perspective. But I didn't realize that the Nazi Party was actually called the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Now, on the face of it, that sounds like a left-leaning party. To me, the left and Marxist ideas and communism is something that comes out of the class struggle, right? It's the working man who's being trodden on by the dirty capitalist. Now, without a doubt, the slums and the misery that existed in, the industrializing Western Europe was horrendous from what you can, by all accounts, read. And the ability for social mobility was very restricted. And this is one of the reasons why the United States of America is such an extraordinary story. But this is the Nazi Party. So hang on a second. It had socialists in the name. But actually, it was a fascist far-right movement, emphasizing extreme nationalism, racial hierarchy, and of course, authoritarian control. That's confusing. The name of the party wasn't what it was actually doing. And so in some ways, this is what's also going on here with this Charlie Kirk story, because it's kind of designed to be confusing. No one knows if they're left or right any longer. And that's just crazy, right? And hence the importance of this podcast, and equally like the importance of go and do your own research, come to your own conclusions. Of course, try and temper all the information that you see with a pinch of salt. Like, what's real? I didn't see it with my own eyes, so I don't know. Now, an important point to get to here that I touched on before, but again, as a father, this is just massive. Ideas become words, words become actions. Now, is a man accountable for his actions? Yes. Their words? Yes. Their ideas? Yes, of course they are. And more often than not, to themselves, right? But violence is an action, a human action, a decision, a self-serving moment. A word is not. And this is the irony of this hate speech advocate vibe at the moment, where because they don't like what you're saying, violence is okay. And that's why on this scheme of, or this trajectory of freedom of speech, you either believe in the freedom of speech, which means anyone can say anything they want, or you don't. Oh, hang on, no, let's just police this little bit over here. No, you can't say that. And when you start telling people what they can and can't say, that makes them even more angry, and that leads into a physical action. And I would argue that that's what drives violence. But this is almost a step before that, where it's like, oh, you're saying something I don't like. And you can see this, right, in the countless videos that he has online of a debate where he debates these people and they resort to frustration, abuse hurling. They can't debate. That's the irony of all of this, right? So their words can be made meaningless by this man's rationale. Oh, well, let's just kill him. Oh, they're literally like some of these posts. I seen a guy with a megaphone. They got Charlie Kirk. They got Charlie Kirk. You're like, whoa, dude, that is. So you're celebrating the assassination of a man who had a different set of beliefs to you. What the hell is going on here? Is this the world that you want to bring your kids into? Not for me. Absolutely not. And so the right to the freedom of speech, it is absolutely critical that this is held. This is fought for, frankly.